All right, welcome back to Off the Bench. I'm Tom Brennan, and we're still working through some technical issues with Paul Daugherty. We hope to have him on here in a minute. Says he's got a brand new laptop. All right. And I'm going to ask Doc about this in a second. We were sitting here talking about the Bengals, and I know this is a topic that he would find interesting. And I'm going to really dive into this next week before the Bengals play. But I have to tell you, and Doc may totally disagree if we can get some of these technical issues straightened out. I do not like what Zach Taylor has done during this preseason. I don't like it at all. And here's what I mean. There is not a single starter outside of a rookie guard who just won the job this year. Okay, they thought Jackson Carman was going to be a starting guard on the offensive line. And young player out of North Dakota State comes walking in the door, and he wins a job. He's the only starter on offense or defense that's played a single snap during the preseason. The only one. Now, look, you can make the argument that Zach Taylor has forgotten more about football than I will ever know, and I would concede that in a heartbeat. But here's what I know from announcing in the NFL and meeting and talking to a lot of players and coaches and that kind of thing as recently as last week when I was down at a UC scrimmage talking to Kerry Combs and Luke Fickell about this. They were talking about how much hitting they have done at UC during this preseason. In practice especially. A lot of hitting, okay? And Kerry Combs made the comment, said, look, you can't have guys on defense, in UC's case, that are going down to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and they're coming up to tackle some cat that's 6'2", 245 pounds, and it's the first time they've hit all year. And I mean really hit. And that's what the preseason is for. You don't want to get guys hurt, and we've seen some guys get hurt, and it's sad, it's tragic, it's a big loss for the player, it's a big loss for the team, et cetera, et cetera. But you talk to most people, and they'll tell you there's nothing like the quote-unquote live fire. And the first time this new offensive line is going to face the T.J. Watts of the world, right? Who are going full speed, all out, and I mean ready to knock you down. And none of these guys have played in a preseason game just to kind of get that feel back again. We'll see if it turns out to be a stroke of genius or whether it's a bad move. We're still working on some things with Paul Daugherty. We're hoping to have him here shortly. Want to send out thanks to Howard. He just wrote a minute ago. Glad to see you back on the air. Wish you success in all the future endeavors. From Northwest Ohio, he says, go Buckeyes. Rick Ferguson. Maybe I shouldn't say his name. Maybe he's at work. Might get in trouble. Says, great to have a show on where the people aren't screaming at each other. So thank you. And Lure Up, our producer, Casey McCollister, his dad, Todd, was the one who built this entire set behind us. And we have more to come. I mean, we got shelves coming up. We're going to have all kinds of knickknacks around here. Our friends from United Dairy Farmers are putting in a big, huge cooler full of ice cream. So you'll watch each of our waistlines expand throughout this entire process of the next couple of weeks and into football season. And so excited to have that. And we're going to continue to dress up this entire studio that we have just finished building. And we thank Todd very much for putting this together. And again, the name of his company is Lure Up. So thanks for the note about coming on the air today. All right, we finally gotten things straightened out. Paul Daugherty, are you there, young man?
Yeah, I am. The miracle of technology. I'm holding my phone while watching you.
All right, well, let me ask you something. You may have heard me just say, first of all, thanks for being on. It's awesome to have you on. How are you enjoying retirement, Doc?
You know, it's great. It's better than I thought it would be. I mean, it's less than I thought it would be, if you know what I mean. It's less pressure, less obligation, less need to wake up early in the morning. It's a whole lot of lesses, Tom. and less is more, right?
Right. But you're but you got a little bit of an itch to kind of at least be engaged a little bit, right? Talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. Um, I think more than anything else, I love to write, and writers write. That's what we do. Just because I stopped writing for the newspaper doesn't mean I wanted to stop writing entirely. I needed maybe a month or two to kind of recharge the battery, and that's what I've done. I'm a cart barn boy at a local public golf course, and work 3 days a week, make $10 an hour, almost as much as I made at the Inquirer. But I'm ready to get back into it a little bit. I miss the give and take with the audience, and I miss a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, like being in the center of things, and sometimes in the center of conversation. And a guy can only clean so many golf carts, man, before he's got to start doing something else.
So what are you gonna do?
Well, I'm relaunching the morning line.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're going to give it a shot probably in the middle of September. I've gotten a site on Substack now called, believe it or not, The Morning Line. And if you want to sign up, subscribe. It's going to be 3 days a week, free for the time being at themorningline.substack.com. I've put up a couple of test posts and have done very well, at least in terms of the response so far. I plan to get this going, like I said, back full steam in the middle of this month. So everybody sign up, themorningline.substack.com, and we're going to do the same kind of stuff we did at the original Morning Line. And we had a lot of fun and a lot of interest over the years. I did it for, I don't know, I think 17 years we did the Morning Line. So sign up, check it out, and we'll get going here in a couple of weeks.
Themorningline.substack.com. So we're going to talk about that regularly because so many people here in town love the Morning Line. I love the Morning Line. I was one of the people who actually paid a subscription there to the Enquirer to be able to check that out, among other things, for subscribers. I don't know if you heard, Paul, much of what I was talking about a minute ago, and you and I can get deep into this next week, but I would like your opinion on the comment I made a moment ago. And I could be 1,000% wrong. There's a really good chance. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you guaranteed I'm 1,000% wrong. But I don't like the way Zach Taylor has handled this preseason with his starting players. Not a single down by any of them except for a rookie offensive lineman who just won the job. How do you feel about it?
I'm one that usually has pretty solid opinions one way or the other. On this one, I don't. I see what Zach is doing. I can appreciate the fact. All you have to do is see what happened to the Steelers last week when T.J. Watt was hitting his knee with a crackback block, and Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver, got a shoulder injury in a meaningless game in August against the Detroit Lions. The Bengals don't have, obviously, any of those problems. But on the other hand, what they do have, Tom, is a brand new offensive line. You mentioned the turnover there. They've got a rookie. Cordell Volson is going to be their left guard. We don't know what Cordell Volson is capable of in a real football game, a regular season NFL game. And they've added lots of pieces to that line, and that's great. Everybody thinks they did a good job. I think they did a great job bolstering that line. But the fact is, in 11 days, man, they will be facing the Pittsburgh Steelers in a real game. T.J. Watt will play, as will Cam Hayward, as will Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I know that defense wasn't great last year. In fact, it was pretty bad, certainly by Steelers standards. But Mike Tomlin's had a whole off season to scheme, knowing that the Bengals have a brand new offensive line filled with guys who have never played together. And anybody who follows football knows that maybe more than any other position group, the chemistry between offensive linemen is vital. You need to know what the guy next to you is going to do. You need to have faith in him and he in you. They haven't developed any of that. So while they're completely healthy, and that's great, we'll see what happens to that offensive line for the first couple of weeks without any game action whatsoever.
I want to hit a couple of other topics real quick with you, Doc. Just in a broad macro kind of way. I asked Dan Horde this question the other day when I ran into him out at the UC scrimmage. Are you surprised Luke Fickell is still here?
Um, but by typical conventional definition, yeah, sure. Isn't that what everybody does when they come here, whether they're a football or a basketball coach, college? They get good, get hot for a year or two, and then bolt. By that definition, sure. By the Luke Fickell definition, no. I think, and I believe this, and I could be wrong. I do feel he's one of the rare guys in his profession who sees things beyond the game. I think it's very important to him where he lives. Very important to him that his family is comfortable and they are here. Loyalty is very important to him. We haven't had too many coaches here you could say that about. Ain't that right, Brian Kelly and Butch Jones? No, I think he will wait for what he feels is the right job, perfect job. That could be Ohio State. I'm not sure where it could be. I don't think he'd have any interest on the other coast. There was talk about USC. I don't think he had any interest in USC whatsoever for all kinds of reasons. But there might come a time when the job and the opportunity and the family situation all align, and he will leave. I don't think this is a destination job. I think how many destination jobs are there in college football? 3, 4, if that. When he finds what he thinks is his destination job, I think he would leave and nobody would blame him. But right now, no, I'm not surprised that he's still here.
All right, last thing I want to ask you about, and I got to be honest, when you're sitting around thinking about putting together a show like this, and I don't know last year or this year before you retired if you felt this way when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds. I think on a bigger picture that baseball has major issues in regard to popularity, and there's all kinds of metrics that would certainly back that up, whether you're talking about television ratings, whether you're talking about attendance, whether you're talking about all kinds of things, and a bunch of guys, Doc, our age, that are ones that are watching the game instead of our kids or in some cases grandkids, right? And then the Reds are a whole other level of that whole thing. You've been here for so long. Would you have ever believed in a million years that the Brown family would be celebrated the way they are right now with the rise of this franchise, and that the Reds and their ownership, or just the franchise in general, would be losing so much popularity in the city?
Never. No, I've been here since '88. Through the '90s, there was never, you get laughed out of town if you even suggested that. Times change, interests change, economics change, owners change, at least in Cincinnati with the Reds. So, but no, I mean, generally speaking, Tom, no, not in a million years.
If you ran the Cincinnati Reds, what needs to change? Besides winning some games.
Yeah, the obvious knee-jerk answer is to have an owner who puts the success of the team ahead of the well-being of the shareholders. I thought for a long time that Bob Castellini was that guy. We have discovered in the last couple of years that he is not. I don't really fault him or begrudge him for that. I mean, he's a businessman. He has shareholders. He wants to keep them happy. But what this team needs is shareholders who don't care about losing money, for whom winning and bringing back the luster that was the Cincinnati Reds is more important than their own pocketbooks. And I realize that's a big ask, and it's a naive ask. I don't know many people that would do that, but I think if the Reds have proven one thing over the past couple of years especially, is that it's a business for them, and the needs of the owners to at least break even, or make a small profit matter more than the success on the field.
Doc, I thank you so much for being patient with us here today and working through some technical difficulties. I'm so excited and so grateful that that you made your time available today and moving forward each and every week, because I know I can speak. I know I can speak for this because I hang out with nothing but sports freaks and junkies and the whole 9 yards. Everybody misses you, and everybody misses your opinion on things, and we're looking forward to hearing them right here on this show each and every week.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. Meantime, 2 weeks from now, the Morning Line will be relaunched.
themorningline.substack.com, correct? All right, buddy. Doc, thanks.
Yep.
Have a great Labor Day weekend. All right, so we've got about, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 25 minutes left in the show. And what we do, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, are we going to Zim Who Day, or are we going to – now, listen. Okay, you and me both are meeting this cat for the first time. I originally heard about this guy, Zim Hude, from my son. And so I can't wait to talk to this guy. And we're going to have him on every week. And we're going to find some others. Somebody that's like him that roots for the Steelers, that roots for the Browns, that roots for the Ravens. Because I think it's great to get away from X's and O's all the time. Get some fire, get some passion, get some people who are screaming at the TV just like you and I are every single week. We're back with Zim Who Day in a minute.